I'm going to do something, I'm going to speak for a couple of minutes, and I want to bring Senator Campbell up. For those of you who do not know her, she's an emergency room physician. She's supposed to be on duty at 8 p.m. So she's called the doctor to ask the doctor to stay a little longer. Because I want to tell you how lucky you are to have such an outstanding senator. The Bible says you know them by their fruit. It's one thing to say you're pro-life. It's one thing to even vote pro-life. But her short story that she'll tell you, let's just say you'll know her by her fruit. Donna Campbell, please come up.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor for me to be here, just part of the group, and an honor for our Lieutenant Governor, who was, everything he said that he would do, he did. And it's an honor for me to have him ask me to share this story. You know, it's a personal story. God tells us that he will put the lonely in the families. Psalms 68:6. Well, let me tell you what he did. He actually plays out what's in the Bible. Go figure. I was on duty at a small rural hospital, Columbus, Texas, in 2006, January, on a Sunday. I wasn't supposed to work. I was tired. It was about 12:25. I had just put a 6-year-old in the hospital with pneumonia. Now, we call the docs and say, hey, I've got a patient I just put in the hospital. I need you to go by and see them. I've written some orders. And so I called the attending who was on call. But he was busy delivering a baby. Well, okay. I finished in the ER. Now I was headed back to my room because we have a room, and if you've got a chance, you can go to sleep. Well, I was tired. I thought, you know, I'm going to go back to my room. Well, I passed the area where you have to go in to the OBGYN area. And I thought, you know, that doc is going to call me right as my head hits the pillow. I'm just going to go on back there and tell him, go see this child I put in the hospital. Now, this hospital that I work at is this big. Ask me if I'd ever even gone back to the labor and delivery room. No. Because if they say, Dr. Campbell, we need you in labor and delivery. Oh, no, you don't. I'm in the emergency room. But the short of it, so I go ahead and I go on back. And I overshoot where the nursery is. Yes, they had just delivered this little baby. So I go into the nursery, and the doc is right here writing his chart. I'm just in the doorway. Oh, is that the baby y'all just delivered? Now, I'm still in the door frame, right? He's writing, oh yes, and I'm beginning to tell him about the patient that I just put in the hospital. In the meantime, another conversation's going on. The nurse is one right there by the incubator area, said, oh yes, and we're just drawing straws to see who wants to take the baby home first. Thinking, you know, it's just so cute, you know, how you just want to fight over every new little baby. And they said, you want to take the baby home? I said, sure, I will. Now, I'm still having my conversation with him at the same time, okay? And as I'm talking to him, the nurse says, well, the baby's up for adoption. For real? Yes. I'll take it. I am still standing in the door frame. Everybody's silent. I'll take it. I'll take it. Call social services. Tell them Dr. Campbell wants this to happen, but I'll take it. I said, I've got to call my husband. So now I am not even over to the little crib. Well, what is it? It's a girl. Great. Oh, he's got 3 girls. It's okay. I'm excited. So I turn, I look in there. They are doing the 5-minute APGAR. Now, for those of you who don't know, that's where they take measurements of how the baby's doing 5 minutes after they're born. Okay? 5 minutes. And remember, I'm standing in the door frame. I almost didn't go back there. So then I said, well, what do we think she is? Because they all look alike. Well, we think that she's half Hispanic and half white. This is all great. So I go out, I call my husband. He gets in there. Well, what do you think? Well, we were praying for a boy. Well, God sent us a girl. So we have her, and she is 9. But let me tell you a little bit about the icing on this cake and why I think our Lieutenant Governor wanted me to share the rest of the story. Yes, God takes the lonely and puts them in the families. Yes, we got her. But to show you just how divinely orchestrated God does things, this was a little 18-year-old from San Antonio. She was on her way to Houston to visit an adoption agency. She went into premature labor on her way on I-10, saw our hospital sign. She said, oh. Her mama said, oh, no, I know what that is. They roll in, they get her to labor. She delivers within 30 minutes of being at our hospital. 5 minutes after that baby's born, I'm saying, I'll take it. Is that not all God? That is God. That's my story, and she is awesome. The last part of that story is the mother didn't want to, the birth mother didn't want to see the child. And I said, well, I would like to see her. So I did. She agreed. I went in to see her, and I told her. I said, you had a choice 9 months ago, and you chose life. And by you choosing life, God used you to answer a prayer for me. And because you chose life, you will always be blessed. And that I will raise her the best that any mother could. And I said, thank you very much. And that's how you know God means for there to be life and to secure His creation. Thank you very much.
Now that's what we're standing for. Let me get a selfie here with my friend. Okay. Okay.
Now get a picture of him taking this.
Okay, ready? All right.
Thank you.
Go take care of some sick people, Donna.
Yes, I will.
You know, those of you old enough will get this reference, but Senator Campbell is a tough act to follow because she's a cross between Sarah Palin and Minnie Pearl. She is, I want to hear that story, although I didn't want to follow her. Very quickly, and I'm going to cut my remarks short. It's been a long evening, and they have some important business to do after. But I want to share with you a couple of vignettes, really. My wife reminds me of this, and we've been married 40 years this July, so she reminds me of a lot of things that I haven't done for 40 years yet. I'm getting to it. But she reminds me, I said this once, I said to an audience that I don't really prepare a speech. I don't really prepare remarks. Now, it's a little bit like a pastor. I've given so many speeches, I have some reliable stories I can fall back on. And she said, it sounds like you don't respect the group you're speaking to if you didn't prepare. And that's really not it. I just like to feel the moment. I like to feel the people, what people are talking about, and let God give me the words to speak. And He never lets me down, so I don't need a speechwriter. First of all, I wish Jan was here tonight. We have 4 grandchildren, so she's back home helping out. Our daughter has a 16-month and a 1-month-old, so she lives 10 minutes away, so Jan's there a lot. But the reason I wish you were here, because she's Catholic. I'm Baptist, Our kids grew up Catholic. They're very confused. Ryan and Shane, my son and daughter, graduated from Baylor with a degree in evangelical bingo calling. So they're ready for either one. They're good. My daughter is extremely conservative. I'm not making this story up. In 2008, when she was at Baylor University, she'd been dating this young man, and he'd been around long enough. I thought they'd get married. How many of you have son-in-laws, daughter-in-laws? You know, all right. You know how that is when one starts coming around the house a lot. Well, I figured she'd marry this guy Mark, and she came home, and my wife said, Shane has broken up with Mark. And I said, well, you know, as a dad, well, what happened? She said, well, let her tell you. And I thought, that doesn't sound good. I said, Shane, why'd you break up with Mark? She said, because he told me he was voting for Barack Obama today. Now, that's growing up in a conservative Catholic Baptist family. And that's a true story. She said, I have no future with him if he's this stupid, this young. She said, secondly, I don't want my vote to be canceled out the rest of my life. So she married a good Rice football player, and he's a good Christian, and he'll vote however she tells him to vote. So for all of the young, I want all the young students to stand up for a moment. All the, young, light students, and all of you, all the young students, stand up. Thank you. And remember that story, by the way. Okay, it's important who you marry. You don't want your votes canceled out. Now, where is Oliver? Oliver from Denmark. Stand up. Oliver is an exchange student. He's been in Texas for 3 weeks. So, Oliver, it's great to have you here. If anyone in Denmark or Europe says God's dead in America, tell them they're wrong. God is alive. Amen. Especially here in Texas. It's good to have you here, Oliver. When I first was elected to the Senate in 2007, I filed the sonogram bill because working with crisis pregnancy centers, I had seen what incredible things they did in changing the lives of women who were going to get an abortion or considering it, who were in a crisis pregnancy. And so I thought, well, I'll just model a bill after that. Now I know the key to crisis pregnancy centers is Christian counseling, and we won't have that at Planned Parenthood, obviously. But I thought if women going to get an abortion would have a chance to see the sonogram or the ultrasound, that if 1 out of 5 changed their mind, we could save 10 to 15,000 lives a year, because Texas leads the nation in abortions. Harris County leads Texas in abortions. We were having in those years about 80,000 abortions a year in Texas. Now it took 6 years, and with the help of Texas Right to Life, Elizabeth and Jim, and so many others, including people in this room, we finally passed the sonogram bill in 2011. Took 6 years, all in God's timing. Stay persistent, don't give up. And we thought we would save 12 to 15,000 lives a year. And so we don't have official statistics yet from Health and Human Services, but the data that we have looks like that abortions are going to be down about 12 or 15,000. Because the all irony of ironies, the pro-choice crowd wouldn't give women the choice to see the sonogram. And so now that they could see the sonogram since 2011, they saw that that was a baby, their baby. I remember testimony in 2009, we had a young girl that came in and testified before Health and Human Services on our sonogram bill. And she said that she went to a Planned Parenthood center because she wanted to have a baby. The name sounded good, Planned Parenthood. Doesn't say death for the innocent. Doesn't say we kill babies. It says Planned Parenthood. She was a young girl. She was pregnant. Wasn't married. She went in with her boyfriend, and they said, we're sorry to tell you that after doing our examination that your baby doesn't have a heartbeat, and you need to have an abortion today. And she broke down in tears and ran out. A friend of her, someone she knew, some neighbor, said, get a second opinion, go to a crisis pregnancy center. Her baby had a healthy heartbeat. And she sat there pregnant, and she gave birth to the baby sometime thereafter. Now, what does that story tell you? First of all, what does that tell you about in light of these videos we're seeing? It just tells you that people who work in the death business at Planned Parenthood, and that's what they're all about, that maybe they've convinced, this is just my speculation, a lot of women to have abortions that didn't need abortions. Maybe they've lied to a lot of women because they wanted to sell the parts of the baby. So, as soon as that first video came out, I asked Dr. Charles Swartner, we have two doctors in the Senate, Donna Campbell and Dr. Charles Swartner, he's an orthopedic surgeon out of Texas, out of Georgetown, College Station, and he's chair of Health and Human Services, to immediately have a hearing. And let's look at what's happened with the Planned Parenthood centers here and what we're doing about it. And all the years, and Elizabeth and Jim know this, Planned Parenthood always shows up to fight your bills, right? And our bills and all the bills. This hearing, they didn't show up. They didn't want to answer any questions. Now, fast forward 6 weeks later, and we saw this video from Houston, the largest abortion clinic, if not one of the largest in the world, in Houston. I live in Cypress. I live in Harris County, in Harris County. And when I saw that video, I thought, the federal government isn't doing anything, even though it's happening everywhere, and we're not yet at the state level doing anything, but this is a local crime in my view. So I called Devin Anderson, our local district attorney, and I asked her to launch a criminal investigation against that Planned Parenthood. That criminal investigation is ongoing right now. Now, we may find no laws were broken. We may find that the most we can charge them with is a misdemeanor. I just don't know. You know, I'll let the investigation play itself out. But I can tell you this. If we need new laws to be written, they will be written in 2017, and this will stop in Texas. Thank you. If we have to stay there all summer, I'm ready to stay there when that session ends. As many special sessions as we need to make sure there's a severe punishment for those actions by Planned Parenthood, and by the way, also to pass a school choice bill that we need to pass. I'll wrap up with two stories. One is I want to talk to you about Elizabeth McClung, who introduced me. I met Elizabeth in 2009. She was working for Senator Steve Ogden. I didn't know her. Well, I got an invitation to go to 40 Days of Life. I had not heard of 40 Days of Life at the time. How many of you know what 40 Days of Life is? I figured everyone does. For those of you who don't, it started at Texas A&M. There you go. Where students started praying for 40 days for life. It spread quickly all around the world, but I didn't know it at the time. And so I go to the Austin Club where they were having their event on the 3rd floor. Seems like yesterday. And I really didn't know Elizabeth. I'd seen her with Steve Ogden's staff, but she invited me because she knew I was pro-life. And I said, Elizabeth, tell me why all these young people are here for this cause. And she said something profound. She said, because our generation knows that our mothers had a choice not to have us. Now, all of you who were born before Roe v. Wade, I want you to think about that. My generation, your generation, whether you're a little older than I am or a little younger, we never even thought, I never grew up thinking, gosh, my mother could have aborted me. And think about a whole generation of young people like Elizabeth who actually, obviously, have thought of that. That's just, it's so profound. And I believe the young people who are here tonight are going to be the leaders all across this country of eventually joining another group. And some here tonight are Hispanic young people, some are not. But I believe that Hispanic Catholics are going to be the ones to turn around Roe v. Wade and life in this country. And here's why. And I now have data to prove it. Because the majority of Hispanic, Catholic or evangelicals, are pro-life. Now the thought has been, well, Texas will be a Democrat state one day because Hispanics will vote Democrat. No, they won't. Not the majority. Greg Abbott and I set the record of any Republican running for office anywhere in the country getting Hispanic votes this past session. I got 52% of the male Hispanic votes. And about 43% of the females. We averaged 46%. The high water mark before that was when George Bush ran for governor, got 40%. Now what's important about that is many people thought, you know, Dan's going to have really struggled. He's going to struggle in Bexar County because he's running against an Hispanic Catholic female. Well, I lost by 5 points, but in Bexar County, in her home county, where she's been senator forever, to only lose by 5 points was a miracle. Secondly, they thought Greg and Dan wouldn't win that by that many votes because we had a very strong border security message. Not anti-Hispanic, but law and order. But the key reason we won by 20 points, almost 60-40 in the election, and the Hispanics turned out to vote for these two Republicans, Greg Abbott and myself, was because of pro-life. And it wasn't as much as what we said, it's what our opponents stood for. And Wendy Davis and Letitia Vanderbeek were pro-abortion, and the Hispanic community said no. They said no. I had a debate, some of you may recall this, back in April of 2014. I had finished the first primary. I was in first place with 41. My predecessor was at 28. There was going to be a runoff. And I decided to debate your mayor, former mayor, Julian Castro. And people said, now why would you do that, Dan? You're ahead. Why would you risk debating someone who's not running against you? That's pretty stupid. Well, it all started over Twitter. He attacked me for being anti-Hispanic, and I answered back and said, no, I'm not. I'm just for law and order on the border, and if you want to debate any time about it, I'll debate you. That's how it started. So in April, I came here to Univision, and I went out and debated him for an hour, and I was okay with it, because I was confident in my position on border, but on the life issue. And I wanted to speak to the Hispanic audience that watched Univision without a filter, without being edited. And at one point in the debate, he accused me of being against the Dreamers who are coming here across the border illegally. And we understand, and the kids who are brought here through no fault of their own, it is a difficult position for them and for our country. He said I didn't care about them. I said, oh, no, I do care. I said, in fact, let me tell you something, Mayor. I said, I care more about the people crossing the border than you do. And he kind of shrugged him off. And I said, well, Mayor, you are pro-choice, correct? And he looked in the camera and he got very comfortable. He said, well, everybody knows where I stand. Of course, I knew everybody didn't know where he stood. I said, well, no, maybe they don't know where you stand. You're pro-choice, correct? And he said, yes, I'm proudly pro-choice. I said, well, see, that's the difference between you and me, Mayor. Because if a woman crosses the border who's pregnant illegally, I wish she wouldn't do it. We have to have a secure border. But if she crosses that border illegally, you know what? I will do everything in my power to save her baby, and you won't. Saving lives born in the image of God is not a partisan issue, but it's going to turn out to be. And as the Hispanic population becomes the majority in the state, and a majority potentially in the entire United States, or a major super minority majority in the United States, the Hispanic community will have the power to do two things. They will demand that the Democrat Party, who counts on their votes, becomes a pro-life party, or they won't support the Democrats, and the Democrats will no longer be able to hold office, and Planned Parenthood will not have an ally in one political party. So, I feel really good about overturning Roe v. Wade one day. I feel very good about more and more Americans having fewer and fewer abortions. I feel very good about the technology that's showing people over time these are babies, not a mass of cells, not a fetus, it's a baby. You can look at the 4D, the 3D, and see, you know, pretty early, gosh, that looks like me. And if you're a grandfather, of course you say that, of course that looks like me. Or my wife. So what you do is so important. What you do is so important. A country that will not protect the most innocent in the womb will not protect you when you're older. They will not protect you if you're a Christian being persecuted. They will not protect you. We are measured by who we are, by how we value life. I was asked a question the other day. You may remember the story of the woman who hung herself in a jail earlier this summer after a traffic stop. Turned out we've had 142 people hang themselves in county jails over the last 6 years. Most in the first week. Now, we arrest 1 million people a year, so it's a very small number, but it's a significant number of people. And right before that, I was asked about the Planned Parenthood videos by a television interviewer. And they said, well, why are you so concerned as a Republican about these people in jail? I said, because it's a life. It may be a small percentage, 142 people out of 1 million in jail who took their own life. But we have to figure out the best we can do to save as many as we can, because something is not right. And that's why I also support the innocent in the womb, because the baby in the womb is just as important as that person in jail. We have to save all of them. I have to go to another event. Thank you for having me here, and I salute you and the organization. They're going to ask you for money. Give them as much as you can. It's all God's anyway. He'll replace it, and then some. Thank you. I'm blessed and honored to be your Lieutenant Governor, and we'll see you soon. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you, Governor. We're proud to have Dan Patrick, the Lieutenant Governor of Texas.